Thank you for tuning in to the Rosie Road podcast. Today we have my friend who is also my coach. Her name is Amma Permicino, and she is a UK London-based coach. She helps trade your self-doubt for radical confidence. And today we have Alma. We're in for a amazing chat today, guys. We're gonna have an amazing conversation. Alma, how are you today?
Hi, Rosie. I'm
Woohoo!
sending my heart and my touch to you. I'm so proud of you for stepping out and using your voice to bring powerful messages to lots of people. So let's go.
Yeah. So, okay, this is a story. I usually start from the beginning.
Mm.
Okay, we're going to talk about how our parents are, they are immigrants.
Mhm.
And okay, how did you end up being UK? Because you are Ghana. You're from Ghana.
Yes, I was born and raised in Ghana until I was 9 years old. And there was a political situation that meant my father had to flee from Ghana to the UK. So basically, my family and I fled from Ghana in 1985, and we found refuge in the UK and started a new life here. Yeah.
Mm. And how did you guys flee from the UK? Like a lot of people from Asia, they flee from something like fresh off the boat, like FOB. They came off the boat. My parents came off a plane. So how did you guys immigrated to the UK and why the UK?
I think the UK, because Ghana is an ex-British colony, so there'll be no language change for us. Everything officially in Ghana is in English. So my parents, speak English. So it would have been an easy transition. We also have family connections here. My mum had her older sister who lived here. My dad had lots of relatives and friends here. So initially, to start out life, there were people who would take us in for a while until we found our own place. So I think that's probably why my parents chose the UK. And our exit into the UK was via, neighboring countries. So I think we went, if I remember correctly, we went to a neighboring country, literally through running through bushes and borders to
Mm.
get to another country and then on a plane to England. Yeah. So um, we hear about refugees like they're an inconvenience and, they're not really celebrated when you hear about refugees moving around the world, but people go through very, very difficult circumstances. First of all, leaving their home country that nobody wants to leave their home country. You have your house, all your contacts, your connections, your support network. It's a very, very difficult journey, but by the time you're fleeing, also, it's a very necessary journey. Sometimes a journey between life and death itself. So we had no choice, Rosie. And we were lucky to find refuge in England and to be accepted and to be offered a home. The UK is really good for that in the way that the social system, gives you a house, there's free education, free healthcare, a lot of things that makes the transition of an immigrant starting with zero, be able to do it without really feeling like they have absolutely nothing as well.
Yeah. And so
Mm.
how old were you when you flee?
I was 9.
You're 9. Do you remember?
I do. I do. I have a lot of memory for myself, but obviously it's also a story that's been told so many times in my family that it always remains fresh. But I do remember being scared. I do remember my last day in school and knowing it was my last day in school, but I couldn't tell any of my friends that they're not going to see me again because it would be dangerous to say goodbye to them. And obviously
Yeah.
they'll ask me questions that
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to talk about it. So I do remember things like that and just looking at them and waving at them and hugging them and knowing that, why is Emma being so affectionate and emotional? Because I knew what I was doing, but I couldn't tell them.
Wow. I can't even imagine you being 9 years old saying goodbye to your friends and they had no idea. Like how was that for you to hug your friends and say goodbye for the last time?
In that moment, as you can imagine, it was extremely painful, but it was also one of the most powerful entry into adulthood. That
Mm,
sometimes you're going to have some difficult goodbyes. We think goodbyes is normally goodbyes to things that are not working or you don't like, but you also have to say goodbye to things that you love to get to your next place, you know? So that
mm.
was like my first entry into letting go of things that you adore for a brighter future. You know, it was tough, Rosie. It was really, really, it was tough, but yeah. I did it because I knew, well, first of all, my father and the family were separated for 2 years. So he had been in exile for 2 years. And so it was a choice between go start a new life where we can all be together as a family, or, you know, stay in my existent separation of lifestyle where my mum and her kids lived somewhere else and my dad was somewhere else. So life is a trade-off. It was the trade-off that very early on life taught me that I had to give up something to get to the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just reminds me of like how my parents, they came from a war-torn country in Cambodia. They went through the killing fields with the Pol Pot, and he killed over like 3 million of Cambodians. So my parents had a lot of trauma, and they had to escape the communists in Cambodia, and they end up being in traveling by foot to Thailand. So the refugee camp was in Thailand. They had to cross the border there, and for them to start a new life in America, they thought it was heaven. But being in a war torn country, all that trauma that our parents, well, my parents and all the other Cambodians had to go through, it's crazy. Like my mom lost two kids, two baby girls, one the
Oh,
both through starvation. One was, I think she's
wow.
like a few years old. They didn't have anything to eat. And she was eating like little like scraps of like crab or something, like the shell. I'm not quite sure, but she died like on the hammock, when my mom came back, and my aunt was watching her. They didn't know that she left. And then my mom came and touched her, and she was like all hard. And she's
Mm.
like, oh. Then my mom had another baby, not even a month old, died of starvation because no food to eat.
Our parents went through so much and overcame so much. Sometimes, like you, I'm sure, I forget how much my mum has been through, and I wish I remember that so that I can be more gentle and compassionate with her. Yeah, because they've gone through so much. But yeah, the journey of an immigrant story is a rough one. So in Ghana, it wasn't a war torn, but there was a political coup. So basically, the existing government was overthrown by another government by brutal force, basically. It wasn't like through elections or anything. And so what would historically happen is that he would execute the men of the old government. So
Mm,
my dad was part of the old regime. Most of them would be killed or they'll flee.
yeah.
My dad was lucky to be one of them that managed to get away, but some lost their parents. Some, were executed and didn't make it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is just the journey of how our family came to the UK and to United States. And now I was actually born here because my dad was like, I want one more kid.
He did the right choice and you
Yeah.
came.
And so my mom was pregnant in the 80s, and she said she ate a whole chicken, like a roastery chicken, to herself because of all that starvation that she had. She's like, she killed that chicken, a whole chicken. She was like, that was the best thing she ever ate because the food and now that I'm grown up, I'm not a big fan of chicken. I like chicken, but I'm not, like it's okay. It's good. It's good. But anyways, I forgot where my point was going. But my point is that we are here now, right? We are children's of immigrants, of refugees living in a in a country that is, I don't know how I would describe the USA now.
That
But
is a safe refuge for the family.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But we are here now. Whatever our family been through, this is us. And
Yes.
and where you are, and how where are you now in life, Alma?
Wow, that's a big question for a Wednesday afternoon. But actually, I'm so happy you asked me that question, because today, the 6th of March, when we're making this recording, is Ghana's Independence Day.
Oh,
Yes. And I am independent, Rosie. I'm finding my freedom one day at a time, one decision at a time, one courageous move at a time. And I'm feeling independent and grateful for my independence. I'm so grateful in this moment that I had courageous parents who were bold enough to do the uncomfortable thing, which is to relocate, to give me a chance to be here. Right now, where I am, that you asked me, I am in a place of enormous gratitude, because if that 9-year-old girl didn't flee, I wouldn't have met my friends, my husband. I wouldn't have the kids that I have now. I wouldn't have all the experiences that I have now. I wouldn't have also the compassion that I've been able to build based on my own struggles and suffering. So yeah, I think today being Independence Day, I'm enjoying my independence and I'm enjoying my freedom. And I also recognize that we can all be in captivity and we can all be refugees, depending what's going on up here. Yeah, depending what's going on, because the worst prison you can be in is the prison that is in the confine of the 2 ears in our head.
ooh, yes,
Yes.
yes.
So now I believe I've given myself an international passport where I can go wherever I want to because of what I think is possible here.
Mm. And how did you manage to get to where you are now, where you can have the freedom, the courage, the the freeness of your thoughts?
Hmm.
Because we all struggle and go through that. Some people are still stuck in their mental negative voice. How did you overcome those negative voice and have freedom within yourself?
So growing up in an immigrant family that we were, let's say, the only people that looked like us in where I grew up, my parents kept us inspired, motivated, educated, starting with being rooted in faith.
Mm.
They deeply anchored us in faith, right? So everything that I do is anchored in faith. My dad let us believe that, it was God who took us out. So I also understand that I'm a child of God. He has the bigger picture for me. My destiny is being controlled. And in all things that we do through Christ, we're able to do it. You don't have to know the how exactly, but just understanding why I'm doing something. So being rooted in faith will be my first answer that I'll say to you. And then the second thing is also being an immigrant child, you go through a period of we all have need to belong. We all want to belong to our families. We all want to belong to, a friendship group that we're fully accepted. But my parents taught me to belong to myself.
Mm.
Right? Because that's the only belonging that would never change. I came into this world alone. I'm going to probably exit alone. So yes, it's good to have community. It's good to have family. It's good to have friends. It's good to be accepted. But the first acceptance and the first sense of belonging is yourself. So faith and belonging everywhere, like the famous quote is, and belonging nowhere has helped me a lot, Rosie, because I'm
Mm.
at home in myself.
I
Yeah.
love that. And how did your parents help you belong to yourself?
By giving us the courage muscle, introducing us the concept of being courageous, being bold, being courageous. Like, for example, if I was at any particular crossroad, Mom, I don't know what to do, what subjects, career choice or any decision that was relevant for my level of maturity. My mother or my father would never automatically give us the answers. They will ask us questions. What do you think you should do? Where do you want to be a year from now or 2 years from now? Like, they will talk us through it to the point that they asked me so many questions that they were anchoring the answers from myself. And at the time, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I wish they would just tell me, go in this direction or go in that direction. But in the end, my father will allow me to see, especially my father, that all the answers are already inside of me. I just need to ask myself more empowering questions. And if I can't, I'll go to him to ask me the questions to get the answers that are within myself.
Oh, the answer is already in ourselves. And that just gave me goosebumps because the answer is within ourselves, is learning how to ask the right questions.
100%.
Yeah. And I'm gonna talk about our dads, right?
Mm-hmm.
I lost my dad when I was 7 years old. So I only have a little bit of memory of him. And you lost your dad a few years ago. Even though I lost my dad at a young age, he gave me a powerful lesson. He gave me a gift that I only opened within this last 10 years. I know that your dad, I'm sorry about the loss of your father.
Thank you.
Is there what did your dad leave for you? I'm not talking about possessions, but like,
yes.
Was there anything that he left?
Okay, so my dad died 2 years ago. It's coming up on the 18th of March. It'll be 2 years ago. And all throughout my childhood, my dad would always tell us, when I die, don't look for any material possessions. The greatest gift that I want to leave with you is the knowledge that your earthly father that sits in front of you here is a temporary father, but the father that's yours forever is your heavenly father. So when I die, know that your earthly father is gone and your full-time father will take over, who's your heavenly father. And my dad was a beautiful man of God. I still don't possess his level of faith. I aspire to have his level of faith, but he was a beautiful man of God. And very often I'd go to him for counsel, for wisdom, for advice. And my dad, before he can finish listening to me, he'll always say, oh, go get your Bible, Amma, go get your Bible. And Rosie, when I was younger, used to annoy me, like, for goodness sake, I'm having this problem with this colleague at work. Can I
Go get your Bible, Amma.
Offload and tell you how frustrating it is? And my dad will always stack another Bible passage. Turn to Psalm 24. What does it say? Read it out. Read it out.
The Lord is my shepherd. I should not be in want. No.
He'll stuck another Bible passage on my heart. He'll stuck another Bible passage on my heart over years and years and years and years, to the point that I felt I was just reciting Bible quotations. They meant something in the moment. Eventually he'll connect the story. But Rosie, they didn't mean its full power until my father passed. And wow, that was probably one of the hardest things of the first week of my dad passing. I'm going to try and say this without crying. My dad stacked a hell amount of Bible passages in me. And it's not till he passed that it felt like my heart had broken. And all these verses dropped in. And suddenly it all made sense. I understood way clearer than I couldn't understand with his living years. So yeah, in answer to your question, just like my dad would tell me, when I die, the biggest gift I can leave for you is your love for Christ. And that's what I have for my dad.
That is beautiful. And is there any verse right now that comes up to you right now that your father left you?
I mean, he left so many, Rosie, but I can do all things in Christ is one that I repeat to myself several times during the day, particularly when I'm feeling weary, tired, lack of clarity, focus. It's like an affirmation for me now. If I repeat that to myself over and over and over again, it kind of anchors my it unleashes my inner powers that might be lying dormant in that moment. And it gives me a comfort. It gives me clarity. But there are so many. There are so many.
I love that. I do all things in Christ. Is that what it is?
I can do all things through Christ.
I can do all things through Christ. I love that. Isn't that like First Corinthians something something? I don't know. but I love that because our fathers, my dad passed away when I was 7, and they leave you with a gift. They leave you with the gift if you are willing to go find it. And for me, finding the gift that my father left me was the biggest gift and lesson and learning experience that I ever encountered. And that gift was forgiveness.
Wow.
And this gift of forgiveness, of forgiving the man that pulled the trigger that killed my father and reaching out to this man, was actually a moment in time where I was able to connect with my father again. Even though he's gone, he's physically not here, but his energy, our father's energy, is still around us. We have a whole gang of ancestors right beside us, rooting us on. We just got to call them in to come help us. And they're here for us, the invisible force that we cannot see. This invisible force that we cannot see is what's helping me go through this journey right now in this lifetime.
Yeah.
All the pain and suffering that they had to go through is a part of us that we don't see. And it's like calling all of them, hey, ancestors, great grandma, great grandpa that I have never met. Their wisdom is here within us. Do we dare to ask? Do we dare to go deeper and meet with them? There is a gift that they're leaving us behind. This invisible force that we cannot see, that's what's moving both of us like forward in life. Just knowing that we're supported in whatever we do.
I love that. And I think I like the quote that monkey sees, monkey does. Okay. And it took my father's passing also, and all the tributes and testimonies that came through, that I realized that my dad was a real selfless human being. He lived more for others than he lived for himself. He did so many things for different people. You know, we had people coming up to say, I was sick and your dad came to give me 15 pints of blood. I'll never forget that. Somebody else said, oh my God, my first time to Paris, your dad drove me to Paris. Somebody else will say, oh, your dad paid for me to go to university. If it wasn't for him, I won't be, like he did so many things. Some I knew about, some he never told anybody. It was just his way, his nature, to just be so incredibly generous and kind and make a difference, make a difference in another human being. And I admire that about my dad so much. He never thought about any dangers or what if they do this or what if they disappoint me. He was always readily available to serve another human being with whatever he could, with his blood, with his money, with his time, with his energy, with his faith. He was really, really generous in a way that I think maybe unconsciously is probably the reason why I am also the way I am now, in a way that it's in my heritage line to support and guide and help other people. And perhaps that's why coaching resonates with me so much.
I was going to say,
find our way, we all find our way of translating our heritage line. It's not going to be exactly the same, but I found my outlet, and I'm continuing. The baton is in my hands now, and I'm continuing it in my way.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. And I love that you are carrying your dad's legacy into the version of how Amma does it in this time of life.
Yes.
Yeah, and I agree with you in what you said about your father, because my father was, I heard he was an amazing leader in the Cambodian community. He was a great speaker. He act. He was a comedian. He was like the entertainer of like all the things. And now that I'm growing up now, I am becoming
It's
a
in the
great
blood.
speaker.
It's in the
Yes.
blood.
Yes, my brothers are, filmmakers and like, into film is because of my dad.
Mm.
In that short period of him coming to America, he achieved a lot for where he was at.
Mm.
And he left us a gift of him being a happy parent. I mean, like he was doing his life purpose
Mm.
when he was in America. And that's what he left us,
Mm.
was his journey that he did not finish. Or actually, you know what? He did finish.
Mm.
He came here at a time of life, and that was his job. It was that. And now that he has kids, we are continuing his legacy.
Yeah.
And I love that about both of us, that we are stepping into who we are becoming
Mm.
and leading our kids on this journey of life that who knows what's going to happen.
Yes. Our parents are definitely going to be our greatest teachers. You know, we learn how to behave, we learn what to value. A lot of the first 18 years of life, everything we think and feel came from the incubator of being guided and directed by our parents. My dad, may his soul rest in peace, was a beautiful man, as I've described, but he wasn't a perfect man. So there's parts of him that his life is a fantastic lesson. And there's parts of him that his life is an amazing warning of what not to do as well,
Yeah.
you know. But he was the way he was because of circumstances, you know. The parts of him that was brilliant was a gift to me and was a gift to his grandchildren who were lucky to meet him. And like you're saying, it will be in the bloodline. But then there was part of his journey also that was a warning. You
Mhm.
know, my dad was terrible at forgiveness, Rosie. As beautiful of a man of God as he was, terrible at forgiveness. Anybody that did anything that offended him, he literally had like a scorecard, he will remember it forever. But that unforgiveness held him in captivity.
Mm.
So although he fled from his dangerous life and found refuge, there was part of his life that he remained in captivity because of unforgiveness. He remained a refugee because of unforgiveness, and he kept himself trapped in that story, repeating the story to himself and not able to let go of the hurts, the disappointments, the betrayals, the maybe loss of a dream or the way he saw life. And he didn't quite embrace or get the skill set to make a transition into, okay, I'm free now, let's rebuild. Unfortunately, he lived too much in the past of the promises that didn't deliver, the dreams that didn't deliver. And he kept himself in captivity for way longer than he should have been living in exile.
Ooh, I love that because, well, I don't love like that, but it's like your dad carried a wound and trauma within himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you seen it and was like, stop, no more passing this unforgiveness onto me and into the future seeds or breeds, or I don't know what you call that. And I love the awareness of like, you seen that in him and you said, stop. And
Yeah.
you had to do the work of, I don't know how many generation that has been.
Mm.
And when was your awareness of you had a you first started to forgive yourself?
When I was old enough to see what it was doing to him, um, my parents ended up divorcing, basically. And of course, in any relationship, it takes two to tango. My dad could never take responsibility for any part of his. It was always somebody else's fault. It was always becoming a refugee. That's why he couldn't achieve his potential. But it was truly his mindset, because somebody else would also say, thank God I fled, and thank God I'm here. Now I'm here, I'm gonna, do something else. Yeah. It was his inability to accept reality and accept that life doesn't always go the way you plan it. But when you change the meaning, you can also change your outcome. Yeah. If you're unable to let go, it's like, if you're unable to let go of the past, you can't embrace the future. Simple. You get stuck in the past. And my dad stayed too long in the past, and he didn't have the future he wanted. But I love hearing you say that your dad's life wasn't cut short. His life did what it was supposed to do. So I don't see my dad not living his full potential. His life did what it's supposed to do, in a way that parts of his life is a beautiful lesson that I will carry on, and parts of his life is a beautiful warning. They're both blessings, right? We learn from inspiration and desperation. And I just put the two together. And as I said, the baton is in my hands now. And it's me acknowledging how fortunate I am to have access to tools and knowledge and resources and coaching and therapists and counselor to evolve to another better version of us. Than our parents didn't have access to that. It wasn't widely available. It wasn't part of our culture. It wasn't a lifestyle choice for them. So Maya Angelou said it best when she says, when you know better, you do better. I know a little bit better now to do a little bit better for my children. That's not a comparison thing with my parents. That's just for me to be the better version of me. And hopefully I can be more of an example to my children, for them to then carry on their journey. We're all going on our journey, and I will take me as far as I can, take them as far as I can take them, and the rest is up to them to continue their beautiful path, knowing what they know, learning what they've learned, unlearning what I didn't get right, getting new information, getting the next level of information to also cope with the new world. Every generation is going through a new world, and this generation right here, there's going to be a bigger gap between them and us than us and our parents, because of technological advancement, shifts in the world that we can't control. So yeah, life is either giving us lessons or blessings, one or the other, Rosie.
Yeah.
And I'm here to experience all of it.
Yeah. And for me, everybody's belief is different, but I believe that each and every one of us are born into this world, and we have our own journey that our soul has to go through. And the journey for my dad was his journey that he had to go through and struggle with. And now that I'm born as an offspring, I have my own journey that my soul wants to experience. And I see that with my kids too. Like, they came here, but they are their own person. They have to go through what they have to experience in life to grow and learn. Yeah. Even though I'm a mother, I want to protect my kids, and I don't want them to get hurt or, anything like that. But they have to go through it. The more I protect them, the more I'm doing them a disservice. Yeah. So it's going through that friendship breakup, it's going through the heartbreak, it's going through all the guilt and shame of life lessons that they are handed to. But it's their own soul that has to evolve and has to experience this, for all of us, if we want to grow. Yeah. This is to me, we're a human being, we're a soul, we're energy. And we came here to experience this life on this earth right now. And there's so many changes going on. and just asking ourselves, like with everything changing so much, how are you adapting to the change right now? Are you holding on tight to an old world that's about to collapse? Are you learning to let go and emerge into and adapt to this new world that's happening right in front of our eyes and is changing every single day? And this is where I see the confidence come into adapting into this new world. And you are a confidence coach. And how are you adapting and helping other people adjust to this new world? Because it does take confidence to be courageous and step out to do what we do right now.
Rosie, you that was beautifully said about the changes that society as a whole is going through. And you're so right. Unlike previous generation, like my parents for a long time could say, hey, listen, I'm BBC, which stands for Born Before Computers. I don't know how to book flights. I don't know how to do this online. They can almost afford to not be part of it. What I know to be true right now is that the way that technology is advancing, particularly post-COVID, everybody has to embrace this new way of new order. Otherwise, you're going to be completely left behind, right? For example, now in England, I'm sure it's the same in America, when you go to the supermarket, there are more self-checkout tills than there are service checkout with a person.
Yeah.
If you go to the bank, there are more machines and computers than there are humans helping you serve. If you go to the airports to check in, there are more computers again than there are humans. So all of it, you need to have confidence in your ability. And confidence, there is a myth about confidence that I think we should debunk while we're at it.
Okay.
People think they need confidence to get started at something, but you don't. Confidence is not a requirement to start anything new. Confidence is what you get after you've done the thing, after you've taken action, but you don't need the confidence to take action. I heard you say courage. Definitely, it takes courage to be able to trust in yourself that you've had past experiences, whatever it is, whatever age you are, you've done something that you didn't know how to do. It was day one for you in that thing, day one in kindergarten, day one in secondary school, day one at driving your car for the first time. We've all had our day one. And on day one, you weren't confident. Confidence is something that came afterwards. So whenever you're called to do something new, and the world is calling us to do something new all the time now, know that you don't need confidence on day one. That confidence comes afterwards, but step forward. And the way to build confidence, Rosie, a lot of us are comparing how we feel inside with how somebody else looks on the outside. Like, I'm not as confident as you. You look so confident. You might be sitting there beautifully looking confident, but on the inside, I don't know what's going on inside of you. There might be self-doubt. There might be anxiety. There might be perspiration. I remember the first time you took me live on Instagram, okay? And I was so nervous. Although I'd done some public speaking and, some training on speaking on camera, I was still nervous because there was the thought about other people's opinion. Not so much people that I know are celebrating me, but you've got like a pool of old school friends and, ex-colleagues and ex-friends. Everybody follow you, right? So it's the idea that, oh no, I'm going to be showing me at day one when I'm not good yet in front of people. But whatever you think you're not good at, somebody might be looking at you and think, wow, watch her go. She's amazing, right? So don't compare how you feel in the inside with how somebody looks on the other side, on their outside, because most people, when they're doing something bold and courageous and public speaking, it doesn't matter what culture or nationality you're from, everybody understands, even kids, if you ask them, put your hand up, who wants to come up and give us the answer? A lot of kids know the answers, but they're just human beings. We just don't have that. I think it's more genetic that we're introverts and extroverts. So this feels like it's outside our comfort zone, but confidence is a skill, and you can build it by taking consistent action. Not massive action, like some of the gurus out there will say, take massive action. It's take little action, the smallest action, but just know that you've done something like this before. Yeah, it doesn't have to compare, and you can do it. You're built to do many new things. And I love the shift in the world because we're all seeing how super adaptable we are.
Yeah. And that brought me the experience of when I asked you to do a 3-day water fast. And you said at first, heck no, like you bloody hell, like I cannot do that. I need to work on my UK accent. And how was your experience of, first not like, oh, I can't do a 3-day water fast to doing, 50 something hours? I'm not how many hours you did.
I did 2.5 days. So I didn't quite make the third day. I did 2.5 days. And Rosie, look, that water fast experience is a perfect analogy. There's some things in life seems impossible until you've gone past it, then it is possible, right? Initially, when you suggested it to me, the data that I knew to be true for my life is that I've never gone 24 hours voluntary without food. If I've gone 24 hours without food, it's because I've been ill. But even then, I haven't. There'll always be some family member trying to feed you some soup or bread or something. I've never gone 24 hours without food. So the idea of 3 days, are you crazy?
And you did it.
I did it.
Yeah.
And I did it. The first day, it was fine. I noticed it at meal times, but not from hunger, from habit. We become what we practice, right? So my body knew, wait a minute, it's breakfast time or it's lunchtime or it's dinner time. What are you doing about it? So my brain will think about food, but I wasn't actually hungry. And if I did feel a little bit of hunger, I'll drink a glass of water and that satisfied me completely. And the clarity of thoughts, Rosie, my brain was so clear. Funny enough, without food, I could think clearly. I could produce some amazing content and have some great conversations, including with yourself. The second day now, my body started to trick me. Again, I wasn't starving, but the idea that, wow, is this dangerous? Am I harming myself? This is crazy. Why am I not eating? And yeah, basically, it was more mind than matter. It was what my mind was doing to me. My mind kept pulling me back to old ways. Hey, mommy, you're doing a new thing. Let's go back to food. Let's go back to food.
Go back to comfort.
Let's go back to familiar.
Yes.
Let's go back to routine. Let's go back to habits. And it also helped me to see how difficult it is for my clients, even if they want to change, to stay within that first 3-4 days of doing a new thing, because your body is calling you back to your old ways because it feels safe, it feels familiar, it's in our comfort zone. So in answer to your question, growth is uncomfortable, but you have to give up something. You have to give up your habit, you have to give up your routines, you have to give up some parts of what you used to believe and replace it with a new way. And it's just a replacement with a new way. But the most important thing that helped me survive it or get through it was, number one, the accountability. Rosie, are you also doing it? Are you still at it? Yeah. The accountability helped a lot. And remembering why I'm doing it. So I'd go back to like YouTube to watch loads of really good videos about how powerful it is for the body, the reset, the science, the data behind it. And I felt like, yeah, I'm resetting my body. I'm resetting my brain. And so then it felt like a gift rather than torture. I remembered why I'm doing it. And I think if we can always stay in the why, really understand why we're doing something, it's a lot easier to stick to all the what is it, anchor, it's like the waves pulling you back in. You can always push yourself outside your comfort zone to try something new.
Yeah. And fasting is a introduction. I mean, try fasting for 24 hours and see how you feel. What is all those thoughts running into your mind? Are you aware of those thoughts calling you back to like, hey, it's time to eat? Like just what you said. it's, and that's with like confidence too. Like, it's doing something little, a bit, just doing it a little bit, 1% better. Not
Yes.
doing a big leap and trying to be at your outcome in your mind that you're supposed to be at. No, it's just little tiny steps.
Baby steps
Yes.
sometimes.
Yes.
Yes. And celebrating those little steps as well. Sometimes a lot of people think, oh, that wasn't a big deal. But if you actually think, wow, I went 2 days without food, that is a big deal. You've done something beyond what you're normally comfortable with. If you can celebrate that, it encourages you and it makes you want to do it again. I mean, I came off that, and since then I've introduced more fasting into my life as a consistent lifestyle choice now. I don't do it for over 3 days, but I do it over 24 hours or 12 hours or 16 hours. It's all really beneficial, particularly in this zone where I'm entering the menopause phase and the body has lots of inflammations. I think it's called there's a term for it, the hectic zone. There's so much, no, chaos zone. My body's in chaos. There's so much hormones everywhere. There's so much change and shifts, right? So menopause is like puberty, but reversed. The same way your 12, 13-year-old daughter is going through changes in her body, we're changing to exit puberty effectively. And it brings up so much chaos in the body. And fasting helps to stabilize and helps when you put nutrients in your body for your bloodstream to extract the goodness better. So yeah, thank you for that, Rosie.
You're welcome, right? We do hard
Yes.
things.
Yes.
Yeah. And
That's
this leads to a different topic is, how do you find friends when you are in this adulthood where it's harder to meet friends when you're older? And how do you make the right friends, right? Because me and Amma, we just met about, how long ago did we meet? 3 years ago?
3 years ago, yeah.
3 years ago. And Alma is my new aligned friend that I met. And I was thinking about this post that somebody made about how do you make new friends, and how me and Alma, how we met each other is through, we took a program, Eben Pagan's virtual coach program during 2020. And this is where I met my new friend, right? You're in a community of like-minded people that are trying to be better. And this is where our new friendship was built off of.
Yeah.
So if you are growing out of like your old friendship and wanting to make new friends, is go do things that you want to do. In those communities, there's somebody in there that's going to be resonates with you, and just click it off. Is that the word? Click it off? I don't know if that's the word, but like, you guys just like, we just click.
Yes.
So I just want to say thank you for us being aligned in life and building off this friendship that we have. And in building out this new friendship that I had with you, is that for me, I had to let go of an old friendship that didn't serve me anymore. And that was really hard to do, because if you are in a friendship, you are in a relationship. And in that relationship, there's like breakups. And in that breakup it hurts. It's a loss. It's grief. What I didn't know, that in this friendship breakup that I had to go through, I met you. I made room for you to come in.
Thank you, Rosie. I don't take that lightly. In a world full of 7 billion people, 8 billion people, there are people who are lonely. They're suffering from not being able to make meaningful connections with other humans, because either there are breakups, or some people come into your life and their reason and seasons are over, and you're trying to make them a lifetime partner, but that's not what it is. You asked a question about how to make friendship. how to have the confidence to make friendship. It is difficult to make friendship in our adult life. As mums, when our kids were younger, because we took them everywhere, like nursery or play dates or after school activities, it gave the opportunity to connect with other mums. So you make friends that way. But at this age where they're more independent and going places and doing things by themselves, it is hard to make friendships. But one of the ways to make friendship is the way you and I met, is through signing up for a program, signing up for a course to learn something new. The best thing you can do is to invest in yourself, invest in some knowledge, invest in a new skill, invest in a new capability. And in that quest to upgrade yourself, you meet other people who are on a similar journey as you. They're also investing in themselves and they need accountability. Rosie, the reason we connected, it wasn't just because we invested in ourselves, is because we stepped forward with each other's light to say, listen, I know what you're trying to do, and I know that it's bloody hard. Let me help you, and you help me. It's that accountability, right? And we all do better when somebody is believing in us, when somebody is supporting us, when somebody's encouraging us. So it is like, right, Rosie, go live. I'm here. Go on, you got this, I'm watching. And you're able to do it, knowing that I'm in the background. You do the same for me. I think friendship in adulthood can be really difficult, also because we know what we want.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to be surrounded by conversations that don't serve us. It has no meaning. And there's nothing wrong with childhood friendship, but you get to a stage where if you're not growing at the same pace, if you don't share things that you're passionate about. I mean, I'm very lucky. I'm still best friends with two of my closest friends from childhood. And that's because we're growing at a similar pace. We're growing at a similar interest, but it's okay for interest to divert. And when it diverts, like you said, it makes space for new friendships to blossom. So now I'm lucky that entering this rabbit hole of wanting to be a coach introduced me to an amazing soul like yourself, who is willing to maybe give me that next level of vulnerability as well. Because also when you're trying to grow, here's the thing, Rosie, when you're trying to grow, you don't necessarily want to be around people who want to remind you of your past. Yeah. I have relatives, family members who, when they see me now, they like to do this. Wow, Amma, I remember when you came from England and you were a refugee and, maybe you looked a certain way. Now look at you, right? So it's like they're celebrating your glow up, but it's also, let's take you back. Let's take you back. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it depends. It's a personal choice. I choose to be around people who want to be a cheerleader of mine, Rosie. And I'm just lucky that, my work takes me to people like you who I can be a light and a support and a celebration for them. And we do it for each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say there are many ways to find friendship, but definitely go invest in yourself, plug into other people who are investing in themselves, and you're more likely to connect with like-minded, heart-minded souls.
Yeah. If you want to go far, go by yourself. If you want to go further, take someone with you. Or I don't know if that's the exact quote there.
That is the quote.
Yeah. But in this journey at where we are in life right now, like I had a few coaches in my life. There's coaches all over my life. Not all over my life, but I had a nutrition coach. I had a workout coach, right? I have a coach in what we do right now, because if in this journey, it's really hard to do it by yourself, really hard.
It really is.
And when you are growing in this journey, sometimes we have blind spots that we cannot see, like I cannot see, right? Mm-hmm. But the coach, like Alma, can see my blind spot that I cannot see, right? And come into awareness, because when they tell you your blind spots and you are not aware, there's going to be resistance. Like, no, no. Like, you don't want to accept it, you know? But it is the coach just mirroring off of what they see from you. Mm. And working with Alma, like, we work together and it's a great duo. Look where we are now. Like, I'm not like being like conceited or like boosting myself up, but I am so happy and grateful for where I am at right now. Like, doing this podcast. I talked about this for years.
Yes, Rosie.
And now it's happening.
It's
like,
happening.
how can I do this podcast? You know, it's not perfect at all, you know, but it's me showing up. It's me putting my feet in the water, splashing, playing around with it. Right. And waiting. And then each time I put my feet in this water, one day I'm just going to jump in and boom, just splash everyone, whatever that may be. I don't know.
Yes.
But I'm here. I'm in the arena. I'm playing. I'm, you know, feeling all the feelings that comes in on this journey. Because in this journey, it's not all, oh, happy, 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 happy. No, there's all kinds of emotions that comes up.
Yes.
And it's learning to be with those emotions. And if you have a coach, they're there to help you freaking figure this out. Listen, whatever it is. Oh, thank you, Amma.
Thank you, Rosie. But thank you for thanking me. But thank you. I just want to add to that. Okay. They call growing pains for a reason, because there's a lot of pains in growing. You know, teenage kids that are getting taller or they're changing form. It's physically painful, emotionally painful, psychologically painful. Trying to transition and evolve. Human beings can transition and can evolve, but it comes with some growing pains. And the pains don't go away just because you find a friend to do it, but it makes it fun. You make it fun. We laugh a lot. We tease each other.
We play a lot. We play a lot. And that's what makes it fun.
Like, ordinarily, we might let ourselves off the hook. But the fact that even today, Rosie, you scheduled that we're doing your first podcast today. Oh, Amma, it's okay, we can do it another way. No, Rosie, seriously, I've got it in my diary. You would have let yourself off the hook today. So if you're serious about transitioning from wherever you are, whatever that looks like, to the next version of you that you know you're capable of, find somebody that won't let you off the hook. Because it is taking those uncomfortable, imperfect action that is perfect for the moment. Where we are right now, Rosie, yes, of course, there's another level because we have high standards. We're not stopping here, but it's perfect for now. Somebody watching right now that's going to get something out of this. They don't want to see a Dean Graziosi and a Tony Robbins and, Lisa Nichols. They want to see two wobbly mums that just learned to stand on the surfboard. If you're going to take a ballerina to teach your daughter how to do ballet, you don't want the one that's doing ballet in Russia somewhere championship. Yeah. Just need somebody to know the basic steps. So basically what I'm saying is that we're here closer to you than closer to perfection, and we're showing you the basic steps. This is what basic steps look like when you stand on the surf of your own sea, your own waves, wobbly as it is, and you just go, hey, look at me, I'm standing for the first time.
Yeah.
It's scary, but it's okay. Can you see me?
Yes.
Find a friend that celebrates you just standing up, because that's all we need. Just stand on your board, jump one wave at a time, and before you know it, you'll be surfing.
Yeah. And 11:11. Hey. Anyways, so if you are listening to this and you made it this far, I want you to know that there is more of you. You know in your soul that there is so much more that you want to show to us the real. Maybe it's in art, maybe it's in um, writing. I don't know what it is, but you know what it is. And I know that you are ready to step up and make a difference in this world. Amma, you talk about always taking just that small action step. What is it today that you can take? What steps can you make today to maybe get to who you are becoming? Maybe the small step is just to wake up and put your pants on. I mean, everybody put their pants on, but or maybe your next step is to just go for a walk, to exercise. Just go for a walk. It's a small action step. Amma, can you add on to this? I know you have lots.
Oh, okay. So, as I said, today being Independence Day, I would like everybody watching this far to take your independence. Take that into your heart. Wherever you are, whatever circumstances you are, know that you live independently. You can have, be, do a lot more if that is your intention and if that's your desire. And you might ask the question, which we all ask, well, how? My circumstances are not great. My finances are not great. My health is not great. My age is not great. Whatever you're telling yourself as the block, it is just a story. For now, just have an imaginary box where you put that story in the box and put it aside. And do like a 5-year-old would do. When you ask a 5-year-old, what would you like to be a year from now? Imagine Rosie and I handed you a magic wand and we say, a year from now, we will invite you on this podcast. And you'll say, holy shit, girls, guess what I did? And you'll tell us everything that you wanted to do. And you achieved that. Write it down. Because the first step is to get that dream, to get that desire, to get that aspiration out of your head. It's different when you put it on paper. Write it down on a piece of paper. And then ask yourself some questions around it. Like, why is it so important for me to get to this next level of my health? Or why is it very important for me to change career? Because as we've been talking about, going through change, going through transition, growing is painful. And there are going to be many days that you want to quit, you want to stop. But when you look at your list of why you're doing it, it keeps you there. And after you write the list of why, who can help me? Who do I need? Who's doing this stuff that I want to do? Who's written books about it? Who's got podcasts about it? Who's got YouTube about it? Where is a resource that I can go to? What course do I need to do? Because the version of you that got you where you are today is not the version of you that's going to get you to the next place. You need to upskill, up your knowledge, invest in yourself, surround yourself with different people like we've been talking about. So who do you need to have in your corner to give you the strategy? Because there's a strategy. It's like having a recipe. I want to cook a particular chocolate cake. Rosie will give me a recipe. Try mine. She'll give it to me. Oh, Rosie's recipe didn't say add these ingredients, but when I'm confident with hers, you'll be able to tweak it to your own flavors, to what suits you. Maybe you'll add cranberry. Maybe you'll add something else that wasn't part of the original recipe. But at some point, if you want more to this life, if you want to make a bigger impact, if you want to touch some lives, if you want to reach your potential, whatever that could be, whether you have faith or not faith, there's more to your current existence. And when you've done well, wherever you are, this is for you. You've done well to be where you are today, but there's another level. And if you're curious about that other level, don't stay in someday I'll do that. Make today, make this podcast, make Rosie's show day one.
Whew,
and that day one will give you a little action step. That baby action step is write 2 to 3 things that's been on your heart that you want to do. Perhaps you want to write a book. Perhaps you want to start your own podcast. Perhaps you've got a desire to open your own bakery shop. Whatever it is, write two or three things down that are a burning desire. And I'm going to just go one step further. If your life came to a sudden end, damn, I'd be annoyed because I didn't get these 2 things down. What are those 2 things or 3 things down? Put it down today. Reach out to myself or reach out to Rosie, and let's see how we can support you to make your today, day 1.
How can we make your one day to day 1? This is day 1, day 2, day 3. Whew, I love that. And we all have a voice. We all have a story. And your voice and your story matters. I cannot wait to see you shine. I cannot wait to see you grow. I cannot wait to see who you are becoming. Thank you so much, Amma, for joining me on this podcast today. Is there anything else that you want to leave with?
I want to thank you, Rosie. I want to thank you for doing this. You know, I know how much it's taken for you to, again, a few years ago, this was a thought in your head, to translating it down on paper, to being a leader that you are, you know, showing the way that it's possible when you go working on yourself. And you help me become a better coach, right? You inspire me, you motivate me. You're my crazy sidekick. And, you know, I'm so proud of you for what you stand for as another immigrant child, rewriting her own story, changing the narrative, because not everything that was inherited from us is useful for us, but you've managed to sort of take what you need to take out for you unapologetically, mold it to your own, and you're a beautiful example of a mother for your children. I'm so proud of the mum that you're becoming for the children. And the last thing I want to say is that, yeah, I want to affirm what you said about, we all have a story, we're all from somewhere, we've all escaped something, and we're going towards a new world, our own new world. And I want to empower everybody, including myself, because I'm on my own journey, to take the pen, turn a new page, and start writing the chapters of your own life, because we don't have any control of time. The only way to control time is through planning. Make a plan, write it down, and go to work on it, because your life really matters. And the day you're no longer here, you will leave a legacy, something creative. You know, you are here to do something. Make sure you get it done, and have fun along the way. Make friendships along the way.
Yes.
And laugh a lot.
Laugh a lot, play a lot, cry a lot, just whatever it is. Just do the damn thing. Write a plan.
Do it.
So coming from both of us here is that you have a vision.
Yes.
What is the first step you can take? Yes. And taking those first steps, there's a lot of inner work that you have to do. The inner work that people don't necessarily talk about. Some people do, but a lot of inner work, a lot of healing, a lot of forgiveness, forgiving yourself in this journey.
And all the doubts is normal. All the questions that come up, that am I going to make it? Am I good enough? It's all normal. That doesn't mean you don't want it. That doesn't mean you're not ready. It's part of the process of growing. Allow the doubts, allow the questions, allow, as Rosie said, feel all the feelings. It's part of the process.
Woo, I love it. So thank you guys for listening and tuning in. This is Amma Permachino, and I am Rose Kun, aka the Rosie Rose, and we're out. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Rosie. Bye, everyone. Thanks.